I want to show you how to print a special kind of print job, and that relates to working with photos. On the left side of my screen, I have a folder for pictures. In Windows XP and Windows Vista, you should also have these. If you need to go back to my computer, you might find your pictures there instead. I'm going to simply give the picture library a click, and I can see that there is a sample pictures folder, which I am going to double click on. And it doesn't matter which one I select, but I'm simply going to click on one of these pictures. The difference between printing a document and printing pictures is documents are usually a set size. For example, I want it to print on 8.5 by 11 paper. Photos, though, are different. Photos we usually want to print at a specific size. For example, we have 4 by 6 prints, or 5 by 7s, or 8 by 10s. And we may even have special paper stock to print on those particular sizes. That's what makes them a little bit tricky. And in the old days, we had to physically open this up in some kind of a page layout program, resize it to actually make it a 5 by 7 or an 8 by 10, and then print it out from there. Fortunately, the later Windows operating systems have a very special print feature, specifically for pictures. When I select a picture, you may have noticed that near the top of this window, I now have a print button. I'm going to go ahead and click that. Unlike a typical print dialog box, Windows knows that I'm trying to print a picture. I can select my printer. Now, my HP color laser is okay for printing pictures, but remember, I actually installed a photo printer, so I'm going to select Epson Photo. I want you to watch what happens. The options change over here to the right. Based on the printer I have selected, I now can go to paper size, and instead of just letter, I can see actual picture sizes, 4 by 6, 8 by 10, and more. If I choose my HP again, just to show you how this works, you will see that it doesn't show me nice photo sizes because this is not a photo printer. This is just a regular printer, so it knows things like letter and legal and statement. That's one of the reasons having a formal photo printer will help you when you're printing pictures. No more guesswork. I don't have to get creative and do a lot of my own settings. So I'm going to use the Epson photo printer, and I'm going to print a 4 by 6 page. It's not text, so I want to make sure that it is a photo quality. And if I'm using special photo paper, I can actually tell it that. I can say that I'm using premium glossy photo paper. All of this has to do with how the printer is going to apply, in this case, the ink, and the quality at which it's going to do it. Now, because I have specifically selected 4 by 6, my only option on the right is to do a full page photo. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see that I can choose how many copies of the picture I want, and I'm going to say 3, but because this is printing on exactly the right size paper, we don't see anything change. Just because I want to show you what the different options are, I'm going to go ahead and move this back to the color laser. The color laser is an office printer, so it doesn't use 4 by 6 paper, it uses letter paper. I can still do best quality, I can still set a paper type, but notice with the regular office printer, my options on the right have changed. Since I'm not able to say I want a 4 by 6, I need to print it on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, Windows is saying, well, okay, if you're printing on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, we can fit 2 4 by 6 photos on that page, or 2 5 by 7s. Or as we continue to scroll down, we can do an 8 by 10, we can do 4 3 by 5s, or we can even do 9 wallet size. You'll notice as I click on these different options that my preview changes. Because I've chosen to print 3 copies, but because I can fit 4 3.5 by 5 copies on one 8.5 by 11 piece of letter paper, it shows that there's a blank space in the upper right. This really gives me a lot of flexibility. So I could put in some photo paper into my regular color laser, and if I had maybe a picture of my son or my family, I could actually print out my own wallet size prints simply by using the Windows operating system. I don't need any special software. I don't need to send it out to a photo lab or take it to one of those 1-hour developing centers. And I can print as many copies as I want. I think that's pretty cool. Because I do an awful lot of digital photography and I've done an awful lot of photo printing, this is probably one of the greatest features that I saw they added in the last few versions. I once again am going to go ahead and send this to print. Because they are photos, Just know that the progress bar that displays while it's processing the print job and sending it to the printer might take a little bit of time, depending on the size of the original file, the size of the prints, and how many copies of each. It, once again, though, is simply going to our printer queue. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out now, and I want to show you that queue. If you go down to your taskbar, to the system tray, you may see a picture of a printer that's shown there. Remember, though, that I also minimized my print queue, so I'm simply going to bring this back up. At this point, I get to see the same thing I would have seen if I saw the printer icon in my system tray and double-clicked on it. This is my print queue, and it's telling me that I currently have 2 different documents that are waiting. They were both sent by the administrator. They're both only 1 page. I can see that my text document is very, very tiny compared to my pictures. My text document is 3.48 kilobytes. My pictures are 18 megabytes. That's significantly different. If I scroll to the right, I also can see the date and time it was submitted, some other information. At this point, if I did not want to print my document, I can select it and go to the document menu, and I can say either pause it or restart it or go ahead and cancel. And it'll come up and say, are you sure you want to cancel the document? I can say yes. And that's how you can stop a print job, even after you've sent it to the printer. If I were to go back to the printer menu, and I were to go ahead and unpause the printing, then the print queue would pick back up, and in this case it would start printing my photos. Or if I wanted to cancel everything, I could say cancel all documents. Are you sure you want to cancel all of them? I could say yes. And you'll see that it completely clears out the print queue. When I'm finished viewing this, I can simply close it. And remember, I can always get that window back by double-clicking the little printer icon in the system tray, or by going back to my Start menu and either accessing printers from the control panel, or by typing in printers and using the Printers and Devices window. Well, there you go. Now you have a really good understanding of how to print using Windows. How to set up a new printer, how to set the properties and set the default printer, how to look at the print queue, and several different ways that you can send print jobs. Now you're all ready to get hard copy output from all of the files that you may be managing using your PC.